think we did pretty good.
I think we got it.
Yeah. Well, hello everyone, and as you can see, me and Connor are back together. No guest this time, for the first time in a while, and we're doing what we've talked about this for a long time. So I'm excited that we could finally do it. This episode is a representation of the Finer Things Club, featuring Connor and Kyle. Hello, how do?
How are you, good sir? Or as the Brits would say, hello, governor.
Yes, shallow and pedantic. But yes, so this episode we are going to be talking all things fancy. We're going to go over what we think is pretentious or fancy, whatever you would like to call it. And then at the end, we're going to do a literature review for you guys. Believe it or not, me and Connor both do read.
A book club, if you will.
Yes, precisely. So yeah, let's get into what we define as fancy, Connor.
Thank you, Kyle. So here is a list that I developed as a fancy person of things that are pretentious, which is essentially the same thing as fancy.
Absolutely.
The word indubitably.
Love that word. Do you remember 7 Days in Hell? Part of my language. Kit Harington using that word in a British accent is just beyond pretentious. Also,
Indubitably. It's actually in the Finer Things Club. We call that word HE double hockey sticks.
Yes.
Other things that are pretentious, and this list is like 10 or 11 long or whatever. Not a top 10 list, just a list of pretentious things. Black and white movies and calling movies films instead of movies.
I like it.
Hors d'oeuvres. Look, they are delicious. I love them. But something like a cucumber sandwich screams pretentiousness. It just does.
Question. Can you spell hors d'oeuvres? If not, you can genuinely pass along and plead the fifth. I would accept.
Of course I can spell it. HOR space D apostrophe OEUVRES. Hors d'oeuvres.
Wonderful.
1 second. Need to fill myself up real quick.
Yep.
Sipping on a fine fish dye that my mom uses to cook with.
At least it's white wine, I guess.
Oh, I'm a big white wine guy. Okay, other things that are pretentious. Teacups as well as tea parties. Because teacups, they're very small and you need the plate for them. You can drink them like this. Very pretentious. Love it.
Right.
Little dogs that you can fit in your purse. Cats. British people. Polo matches.
Love it.
Wine that isn't Franzia. Old rich Southerners who own a plantation who are most likely racist and probably say things such as "I do declare." And Shakespeare, just the name alone is incredibly pretentious.
Yes, I completely agree. I would like to build off that list as well, since we're here. Calling somebody a rapscallion as an insult, I really like that one.
Or a scoundrel, just a scoundrel.
Fiji water, which is excellent. It's not really pretentious. We're kind of straying into the pure fanciness of it. Big Fiji water guy. It's a high class move.
I love Fiji water.
It's genuinely better water than anywhere else. So
it's probably just your normal filtered water, but it's not.
Yep. Fancy living rooms with a thread count / no TV. So this is just a room with couches for people to congregate in. Very fancy, very classy.
Agreed.
For middle class people, owning a pool table and a hot tub. Both is a sign of status in the middle class, so fancy. Plates that you're not allowed to use.
Oh, that's yes. Tip of
Very
the cap.
fancy.
Tip of the cap.
A big adult rich person move too is wearing business casual sports logo things to sporting events. So like you see all the rich guys with it, they have like a super nice $300 Penn's windbreaker with just like a little penguin right here, and that's it. Like, and that's what they wear to sporting events. Do you agree with that one?
I do, and my personal favorite is the guys who just come from work to go to like a Pens playoff game, and they're like nice long button up, throw the jersey over it.
Yep. Love that move. Trashy move is to throw the t-shirt that they give you for free over it. You have to bring your own.
Yeah, you're a scumbag if you do that. I actually have a fake fancy guy move. And this may draw a little heat from the crowd back at home, but I don't care. I think wearing a sports coat with jeans is fake fancy.
I completely agree. I could not agree more. I've talked a long time about how I hate that look, and
The worst.
I actually think that this look I'm about to describe is slightly fancier, just because. Well, it's not, but so polos and sweatpants are the same thing as wearing a sports jacket with jeans. It's the same 3 steps down on the fancy schedule both ways. So I think that they're the same level of mismatch.
Agreed.
Love that. Yes. Connor, what are some fancy things that you do in your daily life, or just in life in general? A fancy thing that you've done?
Oh wow, I was not expecting this. Fancy things I have done. I've eaten caviar on numerous occasions. That's fancy.
It doesn't even need to be like super super fancy. Like I would
That
say,
was high
like
class.
um, you definitely feel fancy when you're ordering multiple appetizers at a restaurant just to taste what they look like. It doesn't need to be like a whole thing, but you still get the entree, you still get a drink, but like 2 appetizers that you sample and share with everybody, and you put them on your own tab after. My God, very fancy.
Asking the waiter, what's a good wine off the wine menu?
Yes.
No, and I don't even mean it.
Yep. No, you respect his recommendation. It's his house, and you want him to show you. Very classy move.
Like, look, I'm clearly not gonna order the wine, but I just want to let him know, like, hey, I could order the wine, man.
Yep, that's pretty good. I once bought a $250 pair of sunglasses, and I broke them the same week. So the second part sucks, but the first part was pretty cool for a little while. Nice sunglasses are very nice. You can tell the difference right away.
I have had the same pair of Oakleys, or not Oakleys, that's not fancy, Ray-Bans for coming up on like 10 years now.
Oakley's 10 years ago were very fancy. Don't
Yeah,
let anybody tell you
yes.
otherwise. If you had some
Correct.
vintage Oakleys, you can still rock those with confidence. So don't worry about that.
But like just the white Oakleys, no, come
No.
on. White sunglasses. I'll spit on you. Get out of my face.
They've experienced a supreme drop in quality over the last 5 to 10 years, but back in the day, they were pretty cool.
I would actually like to add something to your fancy list because it's not pretentious. It's fancy.
Okay.
The long cigarettes that Cruella de Vil smokes.
I was going to get there eventually. I wasn't sure how to work that. I'm glad you did. That is a high class move.
Very high class.
Yep. This one's kind of weird, but I think it's like secretly very fancy of me and very pretentious. I don't eat leftovers. I'm going to get some flack for that one, but I can't stand eating it. I need fresh food every meal, no matter what it is. That's way more pretentious than fancy, but I do it.
I respect the pretentiousness of it, and that's all I'll say.
That's perfectly fine. But I haven't eaten a meal leftovers since I was like with my parents. So, rude.
I'll say this. If I were to be a leftovers person, I'm not going to comment on that because this is the Finer Things Club, and leftovers aren't part of the Finer Things Club. If you don't finish your food on the first go around, you're a coward.
I agree. You know
That's
what?
how.
This might even be a classy. No, I don't know if it's classy, but nobody's feelings get hurt in it. What I'll do at restaurants if I don't finish my food is I'll get it into go box and purposely leave it there. That way, nobody's feelings get hurt. They don't think I'm being wasteful. They just think I'm being forgetful. What's your opinion on that?
I think the meanest thing you can do at a restaurant is when your meal is clearly terrible and you haven't touched it and they're like, "Oh, would you like it to go box?" and you're just like, "No."
Yeah.
That is super mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like your call. I like your call.
Okay.
That's very classy.
Are there any more fancy things that you do? I have a couple left. I was just seeing if you could ping pong a little bit more.
Go off yours so I can think of some real quick.
Okay. Well, I throw fucking big money around gambling. I think that's a very fancy, high class move. I don't get it. It doesn't tingle if it's not more than $100 on a game, so that's pretty fun. I also bet on the Kentucky Derby and horse racing.
Yes. I'm with you there.
Car, that hat would even play at the Kentucky Derby. That's how fancy it is. Cool.
I have a take on the Kentucky Derby. Please. If I ever go to the Kentucky Derby, I want to spend like $10,000 on a ticket and like sit where the famous rich people sit. I don't want to be with the goddamn motherfucking commoners. Absolutely. Because I did that at the Belmont Stakes back when I was in college, so I was very poor. And it's definitely fun, but it's also in New York in like June, July, hot as fuck. I don't need that shit because I can't wear something nice without sweating my balls off. That's why I'd like to go to the Kentucky Derby in April, May, and sit with the rich folks. Although I will never have nearly the money they have, but because I'm with them, they'll think I do, and because I'll look best.
And that is the true sign of a classy person. Is no matter how much money you have, is you're not throwing it around in other people's faces. You're letting it talk for you by being where you are, have what you have, and do what you do. That's it. What else do I have? I golf. That's pretty fancy. It's a gentleman's game.
I also golf.
Do you?
Like once or twice a year, but I golf.
Okay, great. I've been to an opera, Carmen, and I didn't hate it.
Wow. I think Broadway is pretty fancy.
Broadway is pretty fancy. I always think of that scene in The Other Guys when they're talking about going to Jersey Boys when they get bribed. They're just saying how fantastic the show it is. I bet it is. Also, I was trying to think of Office quote to like start the show and I couldn't, and then I just thought of it. It's when Oscar's like on camera and he's like, "Yeah, besides sleeping with men, the gayest thing about me is the Finer Things Club."
Oh yeah.
Brilliant line from Oscar.
An all-time line.
And Andy's trying to get it, and he's like, "Naturally, this is the most exclusive club. I need to be there. But party planning needs my backup. That's my safety."
Yeah. I'll say this. Here's a bit of a take. I think the party planning committee, I think it rivals the Finer Things Club. I really do.
I completely agree with that because Angela just brings the stuffy air around her that is essential for fanciness.
She runs a super tight shift, and I respect the hell out of that. Like, Phyllis tries to be the leader of it, then Pam. No. Angela does not deal with this nonsense. Like, she has strict business she wants to get done with the party planning committee.
Completely agree. Phyllis, you can be Santa.
Or leave the company, for all I care. Yep. I don't like you, Phyllis.
Yep, completely agree with that. And I think that's about it. I drink champagne by myself, like, kind of more regularly than the average person, I think. So that's kind of fancy of me.
I love champagne.
Champagne is fantastic. And
wonderful.
Especially if you, like, actually aren't just getting, like, Andre, where you're popping it off on New Year's. If you actually get, like, decent champagne, spend, like, $20, $30 a bottle, fantastic, can drink it on its own. Don't you dare degrade it with orange juice.
No, champagne you don't need orange juice for it. You do
Good
not.
champagne.
I think even bad champagne.
Yeah,
I want to be on record for that. I will be on record for that.
So I won't be.
Well, I mean, so do I. Look, I'm not going to turn down a mimosa, but I think bad champagne, if you don't have orange juice, it's still drinkable. That's the point, essentially.
Oh, okay. I can agree with that. I will. Apologies.
Wait, I can tell you something fancy I've done.
Okay.
Won a fantasy football championship. Very fancy.
That is fancy. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. I believe you've won a championship as well, haven't you?
I have. In the recent history, I did lose this past year. Credit where credit is due, but I am a champion at heart. So
unrelated, actually, with football, because there's murmurings of it getting canceled this year. While I do not want football to be canceled this year, like I do not. However, if it was, I get the trophy in another year. Don't hate that.
Pretty cool. That's a repeat if I've ever heard one.
If you think I'm not putting my name for the 2020 season on the trophy, you're out of your mind. Very fancy.
That is the only unfancy thing about dark wine is like how it stains your teeth, lips, and tongue. No matter how rich you are, no matter how fancy you are.
So I'm a white wine guy.
I know. That's why a lot of pretty girls are too. But so yeah. Now that you kind of understand what fancy is, thanks to us, I believe we are going to transition to the literature review. Connor, would you agree that it's time?
The book club portion of the Finer Things Club.
Yeah.
And we will be reviewing an American classic that universities, laboratories, you name it, across the world has read.
Yep.
Holes.
Yes.
Written in 1998 by Louis Satcher.
Here's to you, Louis.
Here's to you, Louis. Few fun facts about the novel Holes. As I said, written in 1998 by Louis Satcher, it won the 1998 U.S. National Book Award for Young People's Literature. Very fancy.
Absolutely.
And the 1999 Newbery Medal for the year's most distinguished contribution to American literature for children.
Wow.
Now, Kyle, this is a little game I threw in here for you.
Ooh, I was not expecting this. You rapscallion.
So in 2012, it ranked 6th among all-time children's novels in a survey published by School Library Journal. Can you name the 5 prior to it?
Jesus Christ.
They are books you have heard.
Okay. And they're children's books or they're young adult books?
Children's.
So, like, The Great Gatsby won't be on here, which is very fancy.
Incredibly so, not on. I mean, it's not in the top 5. It's not in the top 5. It might be.
How about The Giver?
That is number 4.
Fancy.
Very much so.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Not in the top 5.
The Grapes of Wrath.
I'll give you 5 guesses. Wrong, that's 2. So you have 3 guesses left.
Okay. Children's books, you said.
Children's.
Is Goodnight Moon on there? That is a children's book classic.
It might be. It's not in the top 5. We're just going top 5.
So I got 1. I think the impressive thing here is that I have just unconsciously rattled off 7 books that actually exist.
The fact that you got The Giver fucking blew my mind. Didn't mean to swear. Sorry. Apologies.
Yes. Pardon us. Let's see.
There's kind of an obvious one that if I gave you a hint, you'd be dumb not to get it.
Well, would you mind doing that?
There's a movie was made about it. Glasses.
I think that just put me in a box that I did not want to be in.
There are 7 movies and 7
Harry
books.
Potter. Wow. So we can do so trilogy. Wait, which one is it?
I mean, I'm going to give you this one regardless. It's specific Harry Potter. Yeah.
So, Sorcerer's Stone's the first.
Bingo.
Okay.
So you have 2.
Great. Lord of the Rings isn't a children's book, so that's not
No,
it.
it's not. You have 2 guesses left.
Okay. Is Dr. Seuss in here anywhere?
Is that a guess?
Yeah.
No.
Wow. Not on the children's books. It's very shallow.
It's like a toddler's books. Which, don't get me wrong, I love Dr. Seuss. That's no hatred.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'll just tell you this: 2 of the 3 were books we read in middle school, and I hated them.
Well, that's why I said To Kill a Mockingbird and The Grapes of Wrath, because I don't know. I was in the fancy kid classes, and that's what we read.
They made 2 of the 3 have movies. I know you haven't seen those movies, so I just won't even. That's all I can say.
The Lovely Bones.
Incorrect. I will tell you the 3. So you said The Giver and Harry Potter, which Harry Potter was 3, The Giver was 4. 5, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Ah, that's a good one. I should have got that.
2, A Wrinkle in Time.
Wow, I forgot about that book. I did read it, though.
It was a crappy book. I'm not going to say the S word. And number 1, Charlotte's Web.
Okay, so one small issue is Dr. Seuss and his ilk are toddler books. I think Charlotte's Web should also be in toddler books.
To be fair, I just looked at everything before the holes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a good chance there are books of Dr. Seuss's on the list.
Maybe Holes is just that high on the list.
Fun fact about Holes. No, my last fact about Holes before I get into it. In 2003, a movie was made about the book starring Shia LaBeouf.
Ooh.
Another thing about Holes, though, and this is just like a personal thing, and anyone that went to Sloan, whenever I would go into the library, shout out Sloan, I would always see.
I was gonna say, of the elementary schools, Sloan was clearly the fanciest, and Heritage was probably the most down and dirty. I always thought of it as the urban middle school, and then Newlandsburg. My God, I couldn't imagine being from Newlandsburg.
Here's the thing. Newlandsburg is such an afterthought. No one gives a flying F. I'm not going to say the F word because that's not fancy. Flying F about Newlandsburg. That's just off to the side.
Yes.
Sloan versus Heritage is one of the most underrated, low-key, great rivalries in the history of rivalries. Heritage thinks they're better than Sloan because they had the numbers. Get out of here, Heritage.
They were statistically dumber and poorer.
Yes. Sloan is where you went to school and you were like, oh, my dad has a job. Like, right. That's where you went to elementary school.
Oh, my parents loved me and dropped me off to school today. Would you take the bus? No, thank you, sir. Cheers to Sloan.
Sloan. Hey, let's add that to the fancy list. Sloan Elementary.
Sloan Elementary. Very fancy. All right.
But anyways, as I was saying, like whenever I would walk into the library and they'd have those books on display, I'd always see Holes, and I was like, I'm never gonna read that. Then finally I did, and boy, was it a treat.
Yep, it's
a treat.
So
I will say this: it is my favorite book of all of the very few children's books I've read. It's a tremendous book. It
Yeah.
really is.
Now, it has stood the test of time.
Yes.
I still consider it a good story. I wouldn't mind going back and reading it now if I was just sipping wine alone in a suit on a Friday night. But I don't have a copy of it. But, I mean, it really is just a timeless classic. I think the issue that I have with the movie adaptation is I think Stanley being fat was a very central part of his character.
Yeah.
And the movie took that away. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Shia LaBeouf guy. I think he's very sneakily fancy.
This is a Shia LaBeouf podcast, by the way.
Yes. Even the Funnier Things Club is pro Shia LaBeouf. No qualms there. But I think they should have stuck with their roots and kept the fat guy. Because it made the book a lot more suspenseful in parts. Like, whenever Stanley's dangling off the cliff, not that big of a deal for Zero to pull up Shia LaBeouf. 300 pounds, Stanley Yelnats, much more important moment. Go ahead.
I know who they should have casted as Stanley Yelnats in 2003.
Goldberg.
And here's the thing. I thought Shia LaBeouf killed the role. I think he did very well in the role. But, as you said, Kyle, because in the story, the novel, he's a little bit of a larger fellow.
Correct.
Jonah Hill.
So, like, 16-year-old Jonah Hill.
Has the curly hair. Like, in 2003, yeah. Yep.
I really like that, Connor. It's a great idea.
I know. So, not judging off the movie, but from the book, who was your favorite character? Like, who are three of your favorite characters?
So, actually, I think one of the most interesting parts of the book is the love story between Kissin' Kate and Sam, I believe his name is.
Yes.
I think that's one of the most sophisticated, underappreciated plots of the whole story. It's a genuinely great love story. Mixes a little bit of racism in there and teaches a lesson to young kids as they're just reading along in school. But that kind of gets fleshed out a little bit more in the story. And I actually kind of liked how in the book, Kate was on the boat with Sam whenever they were shooting them. So, like, it was a little bit more traumatic than just her longingly staring off in the distance and, like, assuming he's dead. You know what I mean? So, I would say those two are actually my favorite plot line from the book that's not really as well done in the movie.
How did he die again? Because I remember her dying, like yellow spotted lizard, which are the bad guys, bit her and killed her.
So, they're like, he like builds her a like new schoolhouse, and that's like kind of when they fall in love, and then so in the book they kiss, and the one guy, like the rich guy in town, like flips out on them. In the movie, he just like kind of sees them do it through the window. In the book, he like directly confronts them as it's happening. And then they set up like a whole lynching, yada yada yada. And so they're like looking for black guy. He is on the boat, bringing his onions back in with Kate. And
the sweetest onions, by the way.
Yes, absolutely.
I do remember that.
And they're bringing back some onions for his thing because they're like partners and in love now. And the guy goes out on his new motorboat, shoots him dead, and then she like escapes through the water and becomes like a bad chick bandit.
Kissin' Kate.
Kissin' Kate.
I do remember, now that you say the onions, I remember Zero and Stanley like taking a chomp out of the onions. Like, this is the sweetest onions I've ever had.
Yep.
Do you remember the catchphrase that what's Kissin' Kate's lover's name again? I totally just forgot about. Do you remember Sam's catchphrase or the thing he always said? At least in the movie. It's also in the book too. Because they're identical.
It is one of the best book to film adaptations that there ever was.
The best.
Yeah. It's gotten praised for its accuracy. Who's the
Louis Satcher.
Mr. Lewis Satchel was right alongside the director, guiding steady hand the whole way. You can even see that in the movie when they say screenplay by screenplay by Mr. Authorman, and
Louis Satcher.
screenplay by Lewis Satchel, based on the book by Lewis.
Satcher.
You can check that out.
Again, the movie and the book are the same thing, but we're going off of the movie here, where where Sam always went, I could fix that. Yep, I remember.
It's definitely the movie. So actually, discrepancy in the movie as well. In the book, at the end, so you know how they like combined peaches and onions for the foot cure, like to cure the smell.
An absurd combo, but yes, I recall.
It was just Sam's onions, I believe. No, it was just peaches. One of the ingredients was completely like added in after the fact for the movie, but the secret ingredient I think was just onions. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but
I believe you're correct.
Great.
My favorite character from the movie, but also the book, was X-Ray.
Yes.
I liked him because he played both sides of the fence when it came to Stanley, and I sometimes like that. I do. I mean,
it leads to a more complicated, interesting character.
Is he the most loyal of friends? Clearly no. Like, Zero is your guy if you're Stanley, which Stanley knew.
Yeah, he's completely in it for himself, but that makes for an interesting character. I would also say that Zero is generally one of my favorite characters. I like him and Stanley's friendship. Like, even after he spills the beans about, like, the shoes actually being stolen by him just throwing it off, Stanley just rubs that off, and he's just like, hey, this is a twist of fate, don't worry about it, me and you are still boys through and through.
Which speaks more on Stanley as a person, because if that happened to me, I would be like, you mother F word, because we don't swear in the Finer Things Club. You mother
Correct.
F word, I'm going to beat the living poop out of you.
Yep.
I would have been livid, furious.
I feel like poop is in fancy. Let's refer to it as fecal matter. I think
fecal
that's
matter.
fine.
I would have beaten the living fecal matter out of you.
And that just sounds fancy.
And that shows how strong their friendship was. It really does. So that proves that Stanley in literature is a better person than I am, but he'll never be as fancy as I am. So who's really the better person?
Well, I don't know. That is kind of also the difference in the book and the movie. So if I remember in the book, like, they valued everything after they totaled it all up at like less than $1 million. In the movie, they're like billionaires, because like they said like they said like East certificate that was in there, and they were like 100. Stanley was like, oh, just looking at these based off my 14-year-old kidness and knowing nothing about life, these are worth millions each. Whatever.
One second.
Please take your time. Rich people aren't in a rush.
No, of course we're not in a rush. Shit.
Fancy people aren't in a rush, though.
When Henry Winkler, like when they were going,
Henry Winkler. Henry Winkler, fancy.
Yeah, incredibly so. The Fonz, I don't know if the Fonz is fancy, but he's so effing cool.
Yeah. Henry Winkler himself, though, later in life, as every grandpap, big fan.
Not that I've watched Happy Days, but like the Fonz the guy. Anyways, when Henry Winkler and his wife, or whoever it was at the time, were like going through like the treasure chest and like dancing slowly in the kitchen, like I like that scene. I like that.
That is a very nice moment. You're absolutely right.
Apologies to the fans for not remembering Henry Winkler. Like, my brain was thinking about fancier things at the moment.
No, you're perfectly fine with that, Connor. Also, underrated part that actually is only movie specific is that it launched Shia LaBeouf's rap career. I love the whole song at the end. Do you know what I'm talking about? Digging up
Now,
holes. That one.
two things. One, I guess three things. Didn't remember Shia LaBeouf's rap career. Two, when you started singing that, I remember it. Three, that song was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was. Because, like, all of the little actors in the movie had a verse. Like,
Yeah.
everyone. It was like A-R-M-P to the T.
There was something. It's like, got no respect because I'm the tomb man. Got my shovel, shoes on my sand. Check out my tag. My name is Caveman.
Oh! Yes.
Yes.
And then
I can't let it pull out of my ass.
It was the last verse. He was like A-R-M-P to the T.
What is that you smell? Dogs at me. I don't dig. I don't use shovels and so. All right, we remember it now. Once we're done recording, I'm going to listen to that and drink 1,000 more.
Awesome song. I mean, effing awesome song. Pardon me.
A-R-M-P to the T. What is that you smell? Dogs? That's me. What fucking bars.
Oh, Connor, it seems we are getting slightly drunk and forgetting our manners. Screaming about bars and swearing.
Pardon. I completely forgot about that song. That song, awesome. I would. That's why I don't like. You said it started Shia LaBeouf's rap career. That wasn't necessarily his song. It was all their songs.
Right, but that was the first time I remember hearing him rap, and he was only like 14, 15 at the time. So that's definitely what gave him the confidence to go out and do that.
I'm a big Shia LaBeouf guy. I mean, he's had his off-the-field troubles, which, guess what? We've all had our off-the-field troubles. Big effing deal. I think Shia LaBeouf is a great actor, waiting for that right role to get the Oscar, to get that Oscar trophy to hold.
Yep.
He has it in him. I know he has it in him.
I have liked everything that I've ever seen him in.
This for him. We're Shia LaBeouf guys. And I encourage our 20 listeners to be Shia LaBeouf people as well.
Yep. Even like Disturbia's a modern classic. Love that movie.
I think that I do not care for the horror films. They not my thing.
It's not really that scary.
At the same time, it's a tremendous film.
So, do you not like scary movies because they're scary, or what?
I'm kind of a coward.
Okay, that's pretty honesty, very classy, very fancy.
But however, I do have a soft spot for the Halloween movies. Shout out Michael Myers.
Okay, so you can do like serial killers more so than demons per se.
Don't care for the first scary movie I ever saw in theaters.
Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Shout out Steph. That was the first date I ever went on with her in like 8th grade. The entire time, like, my head was like in my shirt. It was. I don't even think I could watch this.
Did I guess the movie right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That movie is terrifying. I don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I mean, the original Exorcism in like the 70s, like, yeah, I can watch that because it's like the head's spinning around and there's shit coming out of their mouth, or fecal matter coming out of their mouth, and like, come on now.
Right. No, I'm in complete agreement there. I can do any serial killer, but I love demon movies because I actually like kind of believe that stuff like exists to a point. So I think that's truly the scariest shit that there is. If you don't believe in demons and you're a hard ass about those movies, keep it to yourself. and that's all I'll say.
You're kidding yourself.
Right.
However, one moment.
Mm-hmm.
I have a take, actually. It may not be a fancy take, but it is a take.
Fantastic.
So several episodes ago, I had a take saying Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the voice of young Simba in the 1994 film Lion King, should have had a more famous. Are you leaving on me right now, Kyle?
No, I'm sitting up. I'm uncomfortable in my current position.
I said he should have had a more famous career, which is accurate.
Correct.
There is another actor, a childhood actor, if you will, of the 90s, who I think should have had a more famous career.
Okay. Can I guess who it is?
I will say this. A quick comment, because I had said Jonathan Taylor Thomas is still incredibly handsome. I saw a picture of him recently. He's good looking. He's not incredibly handsome.
Okay.
The actor in the 90s, incredibly handsome. Is he incredibly handsome now? No, but he's fairly good looking. You get a guess. It is not Cameron Kirk or Kirk Cameron. Kirk Cameron.
I'm gonna guess him.
It's not that.
I was gonna guess any of the Lawrence brothers.
You are on to something.
All right, please. No, take it from there. I'm happy I said that.
No, you have to guess which one it is, because there is a right answer.
I don't know their names. Can we do a multiple choice between the three? I'll know the first name if I hear it.
The fact that you even knew that's right. Matthew Lawrence.
That's kind of what I was leaning towards, but it seemed too easy. So continue about Matthew Lawrence and why he's underrated. What movies was he even in? Is he Donnie Stevens? No.
We're going through his movie career.
Okay.
It's TV where he made his bread, but he was in some movies.
What was he, Donnie Stevens?
And Even Stevens?
Yeah, who is that? Because that's the mental image that I'm picturing when I hear Matt Lawrence, but I know that's wrong.
He was Jack Hunter in Boy Meets World.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's actually very helpful.
He was Matt Roman in Brotherly Love.
Okay.
This is just TV. Now we're going up to the movies. He was in Mrs. Doubtfire. He was Chris Hilliard.
Wow. Holy shit. Fecal matter.
Holy fecal matter. That's probably the only... He was in that in 93. He was mostly doing TV in the 90s, but still, he was a good-looking kid doing TV in the 90s. You'd think he would have had a career going. Let's see if some of his TV work we're going with now.
That's highly upsetting that he has like 3 good things on his resume and that's it.
But like 3 really good things.
I know, that's what I mean.
Do you remember Superhuman Samurai, Cyber Squad?
No, I remember like Samurai Jack on Cartoon Network, but that's about it.
Do you remember the TV film Angels in the End Zone? You don't.
I remember the name. I just can't picture any of the plot, characters, or anything important or relevant to this conversation.
He was in a guest spot in Workaholics for 1 episode.
What episode?
Just Coast Guard guy.
Probably pretty funny.
Here's the thing. Matthew Lawrence was incredibly handsome, and I feel like all 90s actors all 90s kids actors should have been something. Like Leo was an kid actor in the 90s, and he's the biggest movie star in the fucking world.
What was his show called?
Growing Pains. He wasn't one of the main. He wasn't one of the main characters, but he was in it. Kirk Cameron was in it. Like that was Kirk Cameron's claim to fame. But then Cameron got all.
There was somebody named Boner on that show.
On Growing Pains.
Yeah, There's 100% one character actually named Boner.
I do remember Kirk Cameron being Mike on the show and thought he was the man, but then he became the most religious freak of all time.
Yeah, that's probably what really derailed his career the most, more than anything.
So you're saying Growing Pains Boner?
Which is just funny to think about.
Yeah, we're not. Or I'm not looking up Growing Pains Boner. So like there could be a lot of things going on. Also, I used to love Growing Pains. I love Growing Pains. I grew up watching that show. It was great. It was great. Leo was Luke Brower. Honestly, I don't remember Leo being on the show. I vividly remember Kirk Cameron as Mike.
Okay, Connor, if you type in Growing Pains Boner, it's safe. It says, best known for his role as Richard Boner Stabone in Growing Pains.
Growing Pains Boner.
That's like one of those childhood jokes. Like, you have no context about how true it is. What?
Richard Milhouse Stabone.
Yeah.
I would like to say this. Stabone is a tremendous last name. It's great. Yeah. It's great. Like, if my friends call me Boner because my last name was Stabone, that's awesome. Like, that plays.
Yep. You would also have to play the trombone in the band just to kind of round things out, though.
Here's the thing. Like, when you go to college, that could get you into any single fraternity you wanted to. You could be like, oh, there's Boner. And, yeah. And it works. Like,
being called Genuine Boner is so much better than being called Boner Champ.
I think that might be my favorite last name of all time, Stabone.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it's fancy or pretentious or classy because clearly it's not. Like, that guy is clearly from, like, a trailer home.
Yep.
But when you are in a fraternity, that's how you make yourself known. Like, that's how you become someone.
Yep. Unfortunate side effect, too. Looking at his height, he's 5'5". R.I.P. Poor Boner.
I'm not even tall, and like I'll even like look down on that.
No, I'm same boat.
This is also a problem.
It feels good as a not tall guy when you get the chance to make fun of somebody for being short. It just feels great.
And here's where probably it went downhill for Matthew Lawrence. 5'8".
What?
Matthew Lawrence, like my original take.
Yeah.
5'8". 5'8".
It's not that bad. I mean, I feel like a lot of super good-looking actors are like secretly way shorter than you'd ever know. Tom Cruise is clearly 5'2".
But at the same time, Matthew Lawrence he's obviously not 5'8". He's shorter than 5'8", and he's also not Tom Cruise. So if you're gonna be short, you have to be that fucking famous. Like, it says Matt Damon's 5'10". He's probably not 5'10", but he's also Matt Damon. Like, if you're going to be a short actor, you have to be an A-list actor.
Leo's 6 foot. I thought that was the best chance of somebody like being sneakily short, but he's not.
Yeah, like, I mean, Tom Cruise, like that's the bar. If you're short, you have to be a Tom Cruise level famous. That's just how.
And Tom Cruise is so rich that he's paid clearly millions of dollars to have his height doctored on the internet to 5'6". You will never convince me that he's anything more than 5'3". You just won't.
The current character, Tom Holland, that plays Spider-Man, is listed as 5'10". Maybe he's shorter, but when you get the Spider-Man role, you're famous for life, so it doesn't matter.
That's his archetype anyway. He's not playing like super good-looking guy, even if he is. He's playing like younger, skinny, shorter guy. That's his role. Matt Lawrence was going for big, strapping, handsome, good-looking guy, and he just wasn't at the end of the day.
It's very unfortunate. Like the past two actors I've picked, like why aren't their careers like better? They're too short.
What were the Joey Lawrence? Who was the third one?
Let me look it up real quick.
I just remember the Disney Channel movie that was just the Lawrence brothers on an island somewhere. Don't remember any of the plot, but remember that movie existing.
Who's the most famous Lawrence, would you say?
Probably Joey.
I think it's Matthew. It's Andrew Lawrence.
Ugh.
And he's even short. He's 5'7".
Poor guy.
Joey Lawrence is 5'8". The Lawrence brothers did not get the height that. See, that's why the Lawrence brothers don't matter.
They might just be part of the dwarven race.
Wait, another actor. I'm going to look up his height right now on air. There's no way Mark Wahlberg's tall.
5'10" is my guess.
That would be my guess as well.
I actually want to guess 5'8", but I know that he won't let that be listed there.
He's for sure 5'8", but it's listed as 5'10".
Yep. He's 6 foot.
It's listed as 5'8".
Wow. So he's 5'6". That's crazy.
I fuck with Mark Wahlberg pretty hard, actually.
I do too. I'm a big fan.
Big, like, he's definitely a hard ass, but I'm down with Mark Wahlberg.
Mm-hmm.
I really am. Like, I'm all in on Wahlberg.
Underrated movies. Mark Wahlberg can very much be fancy. Do you remember the episode 4 of Entourage when they're all golfing? He absolutely holds his own with a Tom Brady in his prime in terms of fanciness.
That episode made me like Tom Brady.
Completely agree. That's 100% the pivoting moment from me hating Tom Brady to me being like, wow, Tom Brady is the best player of all time.
Not named Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
I mean, as dumb as that sounds, that's where I was like, and I mean, I never really hated Tom Brady prior to that, but once that episode came out, I was like, oh, Tom Brady is like all right, like he can roll with the punches, and so I've been in on Tom Brady ever since. As dumb as that sounds, like here's the thing. I'm a simpleton idiot. I need my celebrities and athletes to have a sense of humor. That's all I ask. But at the same time, I get why they are guarded.
And to not be total whiners. That's a big thing.
Yes.
You're making millions of dollars. Nothing should matter or bother you.
However, as I was saying, I get why celebrities are guarded, keep cards close to the vest. Like, I have no problem with that. But, like, when they let up and show a little bit of sense of humor, when they aren't people who put their lives out on social media, I am automatically in on them. And, yes, take my money. Do you have a take for tonight's episode, Kyle?
No, I haven't had any takes in a while. I've just kind of been just saying my takes as I think of them on podcasts, just sprinkled in throughout the show. So
I had the Matthew Lawrence take, which spiraled into this long-ass conversation to, I don't know how we got here, but we're here, and I like it.
I do too.
Let's just do a 3... You know, we just mentioned Entourage. Let's just do a 3-round Entourage character draft.
Okay.
RPSC, you guys first pick.
All right. You get it. You couldn't see my hand off screen?
Yes.
Gentlemen.
I'm going to be a dickhead here. I will take Ari.
Okay. I'm going to take... Well, Ari's the best by, like, a lot.
He's not my favorite, but I knew he's your favorite, so I took him because I'm a cunt.
Okay, I'm going to take Johnny Drama. And I'm going to take Sloan just for hotness.
Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd.
Damn it!
Yes! 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 Woo!
I don't even want Vince. Vince is like a bottom 10 character.
Wait, time out. Can we make an agreement? Neither of us will take E ever, under any circumstance ever.
No, he's...
All right, okay. All right.
That's quintessential E is... Oh, I'll take Seth Green in this last spot. But,
yeah.
So that's...
Fucking C-list Seth Green is in your fucking kitchen, you little cocksucker.
I think that's one of my favorite, underrated E sucks moments is when Seth Green buys him Jaeger shots and he goes, "Stop drinking Jaeger in high school, Seth. I drink vodka now. Shut the fuck up."
Hey, Kyle, I'll tell you this. That's your last pick is Seth Green.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said I'm picking Seth Green.
Bingo.
Vince is super cool in the first 3-4 seasons. Like he generally is the man. Like that's who you want as a celebrity. But he's slowly just kind of ruined his character and himself over the last 4 seasons. It wasn't just season 7 that he got the deserved hate. Before that, he wasn't that cool either.
Although this is unfair, here's also the issue with Vince because Vince, a.k.a. Adrian Grenier, very handsome person.
Yes.
Is also someone else I'm throwing into who should be more famous, who should have a better career list. And it's also not fair because he plays someone who is very famous. And he's a very good-looking person.
Yep.
So...
Oh, that you were talking about Vince. I think it's weird that Turtle ended up having the best career out of anybody there.
I think so. I mean, and it's not and look, I'm a Turtle. I'm Turtle ride till I die. Same birthday as Jerry Ferrara. Shout out. But even it's not like his career is like Leo's or anything like that. It's all those guys are known for Entourage. That's the thing.
That was the only role drama could have played. Eric's a fucking loser. Piven was great in Entourage, but that was kind of the capstone of his career, basically.
But I also think
he had Old School, the hilarious role in there. He already had Black Hawk Down, the helicopter pilot who gets shot out of the sky. He had his career already. That was kind of the end of it.
I love the Piven Old School. Yeah, it's cheese. We used to dump him in the trash can. Oh yeah, cheese. I'm the dean now.
Brilliant.
Cheese. But he's still Turtle. But I also feel like Jerry Ferrara is also branched out a little more. Because I know he does some shit with Barstool, he does gaming stuff and whatnot.
And Kevin Hart movies. He was in a bunch of those.
Think Like a Man. I've watched all those movies. I love them.
Yep.
I mean, he's still Turtle. And I feel like he knows he's still Turtle. But I feel like when you have a role like that, because I've read people in Hollywood who've had iconic television roles, and it's the only thing people know them for. They're very uptight about it because no, I don't want to be known as that person. I feel like he embraces that, and that's what you have to do with a role like that. It's not like we're mocking. It's not like we're mocking you or anything. It's that's how we know you, and that's a good fucking thing.
It's the same thing as artists with one-hit wonders that won't play the one-hit wonder at their concert.
Play the one-hit wonder!
I mean, you have one job actually, and that's it.
That's the thing. It's look, man, I would cut off my fucking pinky, both my pinkies, to have the Turtle role or a role like that. Just where only people knew me as that fucking person.
Right. I think that's better than having a giant career because you make your money, you get out, and you're just beloved forever as that guy.
And then you get those residual checks for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cast of Friends, they make millions of dollars every year off of residual checks.
I would assume I don't know anything about how anything works, so don't quote me. But just assume Entourage, $15 a month for HBO, 10 million subscribers. You probably get a couple $1,000 a year each from that show for the rest of their lives.
You just totally undersold that. They do great, especially because It matters. I mean, I don't know how residual checks work, but I imagine
That's I wanted to play it conservative with
the
numbers.
more you're in a show, like the more money you get.
Yeah.
And especially because with Entourage, like, yes, I guess Vince is like the main guy, but like, is he really? Like, they're all in the show.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Makes perfect sense. Good. I'm glad we did some Entourage time. I love Entourage.
We'll have an Entourage episode. Why not?
It's in my top 3 of shows ever with The Office, and then whatever I'm feeling in third at the moment.
I would say for me, it's in no order: Office, Entourage, Breaking Bad.
Office, Entourage, if Bander Brothers counts, that's in there. If not, I kind of always count it as just a super long movie, but that's a debate for another time.
But it feels like this may be the end of the Finer Things Club. I feel like this could also be a once a month episode.
That's what I was thinking. I like coming in and doing fancy stuff. There's plenty more books out there. We could review, like, to qualify as a film, it has to win, like, an Academy Award or something. So we could talk about fancy films. I don't know. We could definitely flesh this out a little bit more. Plus, I know you really like dressing up.
Again, for all 20 of our listeners, if anyone would like to slide it at these DMs and be like, hey, I'd like to be on the next episode of the Finer Things Club. It'll be sometime in the next month. Fuck, we may have several of these because this quarantine may last till 2022 for all I know.
Absolutely. But hey, Connor, thank you for your time this evening. Cheers.
It was a lovely episode.
We will see you tomorrow for the bracket episode.
Yes, we will. Have a good one, folks.
Very not fancy, and I love that too.